Hi, welcome to the DoD mailroom with Charter Conductor. We're going on our X-type motor. We've now put on our Scavenger lube oil and extra oil pump. You can see there'll be an oil separator made, like that's how it usually was done. And we're going to look at, well, if you look at this, there's 2 or 3 gears meshing together in a housing, and then the lubricator and Scavenger are lined both up to the same. They're back to back. So what we did is we drew them out away from the front of the flywheel, but we were left with this problem. All right, there's no belts or chains to turn the camshaft. So what I did is I took this lubricating oil pump, and then here's the original drive shaft. That's center, right? And then when you do one of these, this is an oil pump lubricating Scavenger, pretty much the same thing. So you got 2 gears meshing, rotating, putting them together, and then I pocketed this little slot, this space in between here, in between the flywheel and the Scavenger for a drive belt shaft, whether it be clogged or, you know, will have to be, the belt will wrap around and go around the top and then back, and then here will be a tensioner. So we got all 5 camshafts working off this one drive gear without having to make a sun gear or planet gear and putting them together. So moving on to the lubricating. So that's just the neatest feature I just did. So we just pretty much finished the whole thing. As far as we're gonna do our governor on the same side that the turbocharger lubricating Scavenger oil pump and the governor on, with the drive belt, which means the stub shafts are pointed towards this shit. The front stub shafts, this is the front. So you have your drive gaff, shear gaff, and I'll come back to this. You got your drive gear, shaft, lubricating oil pump, Scavenger, and then over here I put a cutting plane. And this would be your bottom gear case that makes basically your oil line to your governor, which I haven't drawn yet, but that's the last part. So I went big, and in order to keep this from being these 2 shafts, the center of this is the center one, so it kind of circles towards the bottom. So what you had is this circular, the regular circle, the flywheel, it would drop down. So what I did is I made a oil tanker, oil cooler on the space over top of the lubricating and Scavenger pump, which is, here's the pump, here's an inlet on it, and I'll show you that in a second. So this whole big block lubricating oil pump is going to be round. See how it's square? Once back to this shows, so I had check valves in between here. So this is the inlet, the oil inlet supply, and an optional oil inlet supply with a pressure relief valve over here, pressure relief valve. And then here's what it looks like, the oil pump looks like when they're mating. And so 2 gears mate in here, there are 4, but they're just 2 equal sun gears kind of meshing together, and gives us a spot for our drive belt for the stub shafts on the camshaft. And then over here we did a cutting plane in between this Scavenger pump and the governor. We have to put the the spacer right here. I can't read what I wrote. I forget what it's called. Regulating port. Regulating port right here, which would be right here on the drive shaft. And then your oil lines would go from this check inlet valve, and obviously I haven't put the governor on yet. Okay, so I drew here this notes that they were going into the Scavenger pump, which may or not have, if the difference between this is just a small gap which leads to an outlet port, which they might be backwards, but that would be not a big alteration, just like probably take me 3 minutes. So we were looking at the oil supply tank. It's going to go straight over top of it, and I'll show you in the next couple drawings. I like this one, the little right angle one, but like I decided, hey, if you're going to do it, you can either saddlebag it and leave the bottom for lines going from the Scavenger pump or whatever, or you can make the whole tank and leave the fasten a bottom and upper shell tank around the Scavenger and Lube oil pump, and then you'd keep that original circle going without it setting down, dropping down, and going in a circle like that. So, all right, we've looked at this Scavenger oil pump, and these are the other two drawings of them. I showed you where we stuck our flywheel disc brake at. All right, what I did now is I told you how I had a square over the lubricating oil pump. All right, now you can see what's inside there. This is the oil cap. The square goes all the way around, or it doesn't. And then you have your filter element, which is just the top sleeve, half an element, so it leaks through these holes of the filter and ends up in the oil pan where it's regular, where it gets put in the service inline of the oil pump. This is your oil filter. It's from the top half of the circle. Here's your hole. Here's the sides of the circle. Oh yeah, real quick over here. You notice now how we're doing two engines with 16 cylinders, but they're both 4 cylinders long. So this is how they're back together with the oil and Scavenger pump in the middle, and then we have oil pump in the front, 3 lube filters. I forget what those were, but this is with a saddle, leaving space for fuel lines and oil supply inlets, and from the bottom, so we could run them through the X-type motor. Notice that we have a step groove with a fastener on the side of it. This part is the oil filter, which I just showed you. See, now you can see how it rides on the top. This is the top view. Rides on the top, this part right here. And if you want to do a true one, you keep the oil pan in this groove right here. You know, and so here's the lubricating oil pump. Here's the oil filter. Here's the oil. Pours in, fills up, drains through the holes, and then the drain plug would be at the bottom. What this means is, alright, that if you ever had a problem with your lubricating or Scavenger pump, you're going to take off the oil coolant, the oil cooler / oil pan, and you know, it's either you do a saddlebag like the one I showed you, which is kind of U-shaped, or you do that one over, this one over here, and change the oil all at one time, which keeps it simple. Like if you keep that, and then you can just grab from the inlet service on one of these ports right here, and it will keep going, you know. Alright, what else do I have to do? Well, I decided that there will be a little bit of oil spritzed in through the top. You know, a little stream, like a little twist cap screw bottle with some squirts going like this up into this piston and this piston. And then the rest all that falls to the bottom like gravity does will have at the exhaust valve of the header a little drip pee hole, which will put it on the bottom of the X-type motor, and then into the oil filter on the side, which it runs in this line through the fuel oil filters and then into the motor once again. What else? Okay, so we have our drive gear where our staff shub's gonna go. We're gonna put the let's see if I have it handy. Maybe. So on this side, you're also gonna see on the Scavenger port, you lined it up with the drive gear shaft. You have your turbochargers, and so the turbochargers on the front with the oil, Scavenger, lube, lubricating, and then far from the side would be a governor, which is the X of the head blocks of the motors are going to stop here, but the body is not. But they'll be on this wall will be a circle, and I'll be fastening it by showing you with those little stickers to the side. And then so at the back, the turbochargers ran to the back. The turbochargers ran to the back where we had the exhaust fan. We're going to keep this a 2-inch circle, and we're going to go ahead and we can keep that 2-inch circle. The drive shaft's going to keep going through there. Well, we're going to put a dampener on it, and then we're going to put the exhaust fan on. And then what we got here is, as you can see, I've been doing the cross-sectional, not like view. This is your crankshaft rear end, but it's not going to be the governor coupling. It's going to be the crankshaft rear end governor coupling. Not a governor coupling, but it'll be hooked up to the turbocharger, which keeps the fans at regular crankshaft. And then we're going to put a damper in it first. We're going to do a damper, and then the exhaust, and then we're going to mount the rest of the main generator. And that's how I figured out all my cross sectionals like this. I think that's the best way. Everything got included. Now to build the governor and work on some other separate parts. Once the governor gets built, we have a fuel pump and a couple little oil lines, and then I think we're done. All right, thank you.